What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC 269. We have Charles Oliveira going against Dustin Poirier, a 14-fight card. We're supposed to have 15, but we did lose Perez versus Schnell, which does suck. I did have a bet on that fight, but yeah, down to 14 fights, and yeah, this card's phenomenal. I don't think there is one bad fight on this entire card. Cannot wait to break it down. As always, going to be talking about these fights from a betting perspective, and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I do like which fighter, why I'm picking what, I did post a full card breakdown prediction video on Wednesday, and then also did a live stream after the weigh-ins at 7 o'clock on Friday. So go check both those out if you have not yet. Before we get started, as always, if you guys can please smash that like button. It really does help out a ton. And also subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. And yeah, turn on the post notification bell so you know every time I'm going live or post a video. That really does help out also. But I say we get into it. Starting with the very first fight of the night, we have Priscilla Cachoeira going against Jillian Robertson. And yeah, I don't typically hedge. I talked about it on my live stream last night. I've been doing this for almost 4 years now, and there's like a handful of times where I have hedged just based off the weigh-ins. But this was a time where I felt it kind of was needed. The reason being is I'm really confident in Jillian Robertson, but Priscilla Cachoeira was already going to be bigger than Jillian, and that was something that did concern me a little bit. And then on top of that, she showed up at the weigh-ins weighing 129, and it didn't look like she was sucked out. It didn't look like she really tried to cut that weight, so it's definitely going to be another advantage for Cachoeira. So not only was she already bigger, but she did miss weight by a decent amount, and I was kind of hoping Robertson did not take the fight, but she did. So I did hedge out a little bit, but this is how I kind of played it. So I think it was like a week ago. I really like this parlay. Amanda Nunes parlayed with Jillian Robertson minus 214. I have 3 units on that. And then what I also did was I put a half unit on Priscilla Cachoeira to win by knockout at plus 800 and put a half a unit on that. And at this point, I'm kind of hoping Priscilla just knocks her out. I mean, plus 800, that'd be a big hit there. But yeah, if you do like Priscilla Cachoeira, I think that's kind of where you look. By knockout, on some books I see plus 800, some books I see plus 600, anywhere from there. But yeah, if you like Cachoeira, that's probably the way to play her. I don't see her winning minutes of this fight. I don't see her winning decision. I don't see her submitting Jillian, obviously. But if you do like Priscilla Cachoeira, I do think it'll be by KO. But although Priscilla did, weigh in more than over the limit there, I still think it's a solid matchup for Robertson. Priscilla Cachoeira's takedown defense is atrocious. Her ground game is even worse. I mean, getting out-grappled by, purple belts and blue belts like Molly McCann, Luana Carolina, Gina Mazzani. Jillian Robertson is a legit black belt with good fight IQ and good cardio. I think it's a great matchup for her, but the extra weight of Priscilla Cachoeira, her being bigger, that does give me some pause now. So I have that 3-unit parlay and also a half unit on Priscilla Cachoeira kind of as a hedge there. Move on to the next fight. We have Randy Costa going against Tony Kelly. I have a bet on this fight as well. I have the under 2.5 rounds, minus 155, 2 units. I do see minus 170 out there for the under 2.5 rounds. I think that's a very solid spot considering Randy Costa's never seen the 3rd round. Randy Costa's never been over the 1.5 round mark. I think this is a guy that is the definition of a killer be killed fighter where, early on he's going to look very good. He's had multiple 1st round finishes, but every time we have seen him go into that 2nd round, he loses, he folds. Brandon Davis is able to submit him in that 2nd round. We saw Adrian Yanez able to turn the table around and finish him in the 2nd round, and I can kind of see the same thing here. I am personally picking Randy Costa to win in the 1st round, but if not, I would not be shocked if Tony Kelly took over and got a finish in the 2nd round, maybe 3rd round there. So yeah, I think the under 2.5 rounds, though, is the best way to play it. It covers both sides. If you do like Costa, minus 110 by knockout. Randy Costa by 1st round knockout could be something to look at as well, but I took the under 2.5 rounds to cover both sides. Ryan Hall, Derek Minner. I took the under 2.5 rounds at plus 100. I have 1 unit on it there. That line is no longer there, but I still think it's like around minus 150, minus 160. I think the under 2.5 could be solid. Derek Minner, same thing as Randy Costa. This guy is a killer be killed fighter. 89% finish rate. Has also been finished in 11 of his 12 losses, 8 coming by submission. Minner, he is very dangerous early on, but he does slow down a ton as the fight goes on. He's only been to a handful of decisions, I think 2 or 3 decisions in his career. I think it's a solid spot for Ryan Hall because when you take a look at Minner, when he's winning, he is typically winning by submission. I would be really surprised if he was able to submit Ryan Hall. I think if Derek Minner's to win, I think it might have to be like an early knockout or maybe a club and sub, but I kind of do like Ryan Hall in this spot, minus 200. Don't think I'm going to get there, but Ryan Hall's the pick, but the bet is the under 2.5 rounds. Got it at minus 100 personally, but that line is long gone now. I still think around minus 155 for the under 2.5. That's pretty solid. I think Minner has been over that 2.5 round mark. I want to say like 3 or 4 times in his career. It's not often at all, and the dude has a ton of fights. So give me the under there as well. Looking for some more violence. Miranda Maverick going against Aaron Blanchfield. I don't have a great read on this fight. I see people really confident on one side or another. If I had to bet anything, it probably would be Blanchfield by decision plus 225, because I think this is going to decision, and I think it's going to be a very close fight. Maverick by decision plus 125, definitely not great enough, but Blanchfield by decision plus 225. If I was to bet something, it probably would be that. But yeah, this is a very close fight. I'm not sure why they made this matchup. Blanchfield, very young, 22 years old, Maverick 24. You'd think they might want to build them up a little bit more before matching them up against each other, but no, they're going against each other here. The pick's going to be Blanchfield, but not a ton of confidence. Andre Muniz going against Eric Anders. Muniz minus 155, Anders plus 135. Lots of money pouring in on Andre Muniz as of late. And, prior to looking into it, I thought for sure I'd be pulling the trigger here on Anders as an underdog. But after looking into it, I'm not so sure because, Muniz, you take a look at him early in his career, the wrestling's not great. The striking's not great. The cardio's not great. But, there were some fights where, his wrestling looked pretty good. He was able to time a couple of takedowns very, very nicely against Jacare Souza. And Eric Anders is notorious for, at times bad fight IQ, at times dropping the ball, and I don't know if I want to trust Eric Anders with my money. I guess a prop that did stick out was Eric Anders by KO plus 275. The reason being, Andre Muniz has been finished in all of his losses, all 4 by knockout, and Anders does have some solid power. I think that's where I would look, but as of now, I'm probably going to pass on this fight. But Eric Anders, that side does stick out. I just don't know if I want to put my money on him personally. But yeah, KO, Eric Anders plus 275, that's kind of where I'd look. Bruno Silva going against Jordan Wright. Bruno Silva minus 340, Jordan Wright plus 275. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, DFS by the numbers, what I'm going to start doing is throughout the week, post a play that I really like. And this week I did just that. I put the fight won't start round 3 at minus 182 on FanDuel Sportsbook on there, I think around Tuesday. And yeah, like I said, it was minus 182, and it did not move for like 3 days. And up until Friday, it finally moved. It went from minus 182 to like minus 340. So hopefully a lot of people did get in on that fight won't start round 3. I personally have 5 units on it. That is my max bet for the card. I just don't see this fight getting to the 3rd round. I really don't even see it getting to the 2nd round. Both guys are finishers. Both guys hit very, very hard, and both guys struggle to, block punches. Both guys have horrible strike and defense. I think this fight does get finished early, and I think it's Bruno Silva winning, probably in round 1, but I don't want to completely count out Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright is very dangerous in his own right, but yeah, neither guy has ever lost by decision. Jordan Wright's never seen the 3rd round. Jordan Wright's never even seen the over 1.5 round mark. So if you did miss that 182, I think the under 1.5 rounds could also be interesting. You don't get that extra half round, but to be honest, I really would be surprised if this evens all a second. Yeah, the under 1.5 rounds is sitting at minus 155. I think that's where I would look if you did not have access to that fight won't start round 3. But yeah, max bet. I'm hoping it does end inside the first 2 rounds. If it does, should be a good night. So give me some violence here. Don't really care who wins, but I'm going to pick Bruno Silva. Augustin Sakai, Tai Tuivasa. It's a close fight. I do lean on the Sakai side because, as of late, he's been fighting the better competition, whereas Tai Tuivasa, he's winning fights, but he's fighting Stefan Struve, he's fighting Harry Hunsucker, he's fighting guys like that, Greg Hardy, where Sakai's fighting Rosenstruck, he's fighting Overeem, guys like that. So yeah, Sakai's on a 2-fight skid, definitely needs to bounce back here. I do lean towards him. Because he's going to have the better cardio. We see once Tai Tuivasa does get in that 2nd round, kind of falls off a cliff a little bit. In his UFC fights, he only has, I think, 1 fight he's won in the UFC that has reached the 2nd round. Other than that, it's Tai Tuivasa 1st round finishes. Yeah, don't really like a side in this fight. Not really any props as well, but I think the over 1.5 could be interesting. I think it's like minus 160, which is definitely terrifying for a heavyweight fight, but I kind of think this does get into the later rounds. I could even see like a Sakai decision, which would be interesting, but it looks like it's only plus 225, so I think I'm going to pass here, but the pick Sakai. Dominic Cruz, Pedro Munoz. I do have 2 bets here, and the first one is going to be the fight goes to decision. 2 units, minus 168, and that line is currently still out there. And then I also saw this line. I was like, oh my gosh, this is probably the line that is most off this week. And it's Munoz scorecards equals no action, which is the same as finish money line only, which would be, that means if Pedro Munoz wins inside the distance, you cash your bet. If this fight goes to decision, the bet is voided. The bet is a push. And if Dominic Cruz wins inside the distance, then you lose your bet. So the only way I lose this bet is if Dominic Cruz does win inside the distance. So yeah, Munoz scorecards equals no action. I think if there is a finish, it's going to be Munoz, 68% finish rate. Dominic Cruz has been finished in 2 of his 3 losses. Dominic Cruz has a 34% finish rate. And Pedro Munoz is tough as nails, never been knocked out, never been subbed, 6 decision losses, and he's fought a lot of great guys. So, yeah, I think that's probably the best way to play it. I have the fight goes to decision. I think that's the most likely scenario, but I also played Munoz scorecards equal no action, minus 200, and that's a 3-unit bet there. So 5 units total on this fight. If Dominic Cruz wins inside the distance, it's going to be horrendous, but I just think that's such an unlikely scenario there. So, yeah, I do like those 2 bets. So Josh Emmett, Dan Ige. Josh Emmett minus 150, Dan Ige plus 130. Yeah, I like Emmett here. I don't love the price tag. Money's been flying in on Ige all week, and I get it. If there's no knockout, I think it could be a very close fight. I just think the harder shots are going to be coming from Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett has at least 1 knockdown in his last 6 fights. He has 10 knockdowns in his last 6 fights as well. I could definitely see Ige getting knocked down here. Ige has been knocked down before by Edson Barbosa, so give me the harder hitting Josh Emmett, but I think in terms of the numbers, it's going to be very competitive, and maybe Ige can even outland him, but I think the harder shots are going to be coming from Emmett. I say Emmett by decision plus 170, but that is definitely not great enough, especially with somebody as hard hitting as Emmett, because I could see a knockout, but I'll take Emmett, but nothing sticks out from a betting perspective. Sean O'Malley, Rolian Paiva. Sean O'Malley, big favorite, minus 315. Rolian Paiva, plus 265. And I like O'Malley here. I'm not going to touch any props, though, because I could see an O'Malley knockout. I could also see an O'Malley decision. So, yeah, I mean, O'Malley, for me, it's just going to be a parlay piece I have in my Hail Mary parlay. Outside of that, nothing official. But, yeah, I think it's a solid spot for O'Malley. Rolian Paiva, very hittable, negative significant strike differential. You know, poor wrestling, 27% takedown accuracy. I just think it's a really bad matchup for Paiva, but nothing on O'Malley for me officially, but I think he's a good parlay piece. Cody Garbrandt, KaraFrance, nothing official here, but Cody does stick out a little bit. Money's been flying in on KaraFrance all week. Remember, France was like plus 150 earlier in the week. Now he's plus 115. I just think Cody's the better fighter overall. Cody's been fighting the much better competition, and it's not even close. You take a look at KaraFrance's wins. Wins over guys like Bontarin, wins over guys like Mark De La Rosa, guys like that. He doesn't have a win that really does impress me. He's had some good losses, guys like Paiva, guys like, not Paiva, guys like Brandon Moreno, guys like that. He's had some Roy Val, really good losses, but no really good wins that stick out, whereas Cody Garbrandt has fought guys and beat a guy like Dominic Cruz, guys like that. Losses to DJ Dillashaw twice. It's a close fight, though, because lots of question marks on the Cody Garbrandt side. He's coming down a weight class for the first time. How's his chin going to hold up? But you kind of take a look at Cody Garbrandt. Yes, he has been knocked out 3 times, but KaraFrance has been knocked out twice. KaraFrance has been knocked down like 3 times in the UFC as well. And 2 of those were against Brandon Royval, who's mostly a grappler. So I'm not sold on either guy's chin. But yeah, it's a close fight. No play for me here. If I was to pick anything, it probably would be like the fight doesn't go to decision, minus 160. I think is interesting. I saw on, I think it was FanDuel Sportsbook, the fight ends in KO is like minus 125. I think that could be interesting, but nothing here for me. But I'm going to pick Cody to win. Jeff Neal, Santiago Ponzinibbio. Looks like as of late, money is pouring back in on Neal. I see on one book, Neal's like minus 120, which is interesting because I see everybody has a bet on Ponzinibbio, and I get it to an extent. There is a narrative out there that, why is Neal drinking a week before a fight? And I was about to pull the trigger on Ponzinibbio as well, and then I actually looked into the fight, and I was like, my goodness, if I never heard about, Neal getting a DUI if this never happened, I would be pretty high on Neal here. And he showed up to the weigh-ins. He looked very good. So I'm kind of tempted on the Neal side because you take a look at Ponzinibbio. This is a guy that's been knocked out 3 times. He came back from a long layoff, got starched by the leech. And it's not like he was looking good in that fight up until he got caught. He was looking bad the whole time. And then he bounces back against Baeza, but Baeza was teeing off on him in the first round. Baeza hurt him bad in the first round as well, but Baeza kind of slowed down a little bit as the fight went on. And, this guy is so hittable, Ponzinibbio, absorbing over 4 significant strikes per minute, and you do not want to be hittable against Jeff Neal. So, yeah, I'm very close to pulling the trigger on Jeff Neal. I have not yet, but if I do, I'll be posting it on Twitter and Instagram and all the good stuff. But, yeah, very tempted on Jeff Neal, especially if I can still get plus money. Jeff Neal by knockout plus 180 is not horrible as well, but I think it's a solid spot for Jeff Neal if he is taking this serious. If the DUI thing is not something to look in too much. I mean, I think it's a really solid spot for him. So give me Jeff Neal for the win, and I'm gonna pick him to win by knockout, and that might be a potential bet, but I have not pulled the trigger yet. Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena. I do have Amanda Nunes to close out the Robertson parlay. Not much to say here. I think it's a great spot for Nunes. You take a look at Pena, just so many red flags. 23% takedown defense, something crazy like that. The striking is going to be in favor of Amanda Nunes all day. What else can you say? I mean, she got submitted by GDR. She got taken down and lost a round and a half against Sarah McMahon. I mean, I just think Amanda Nunes is on another level. Not a hot take or nothing like that, but I just really struggle to find a path to victory for Juliana Pena. I think the minus 1,000 is about right. So yeah, give me Amanda Nunes. I'm not one to pick against some of the GOATs here. It just always seems to not work out, but people will try to do it, and it just seems to never work. But yeah, I'm going to take Amanda Nunes to win. I'm going to take her to win inside the distance. I think Amanda Nunes inside the distance, minus 350, could be a good parlay piece, I guess. That probably will be my Hail Mary. Fight doesn't go to decision, minus 400. That's crazy, but I think this fight does finish. I think it is Amanda Nunes getting the finish there. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, very tough fight to call. I'm going to pick Charles Oliveira, but not with much confidence. I'm not going to have a bet on it or nothing but like that, but I do have a bet on this fight. It's going to be the fight won't start round 5 at minus 260 for 3 units. I think the under 3.5 rounds is a very solid look as well. I don't know if I'd go the under 2.5 rounds. I'd like that extra round in the under 3.5 because I could see this getting extended a little bit, but I would be really surprised if it did see the 5th round. I'd be even more surprised if it went to decision. I know a lot of main events have been seeing the scorecards as of late, but this is one I'd be shocked if it did. As far as picking a winner, like I said, I'll go Oliveira, but I just need a finish here, and fight won't start round 5. Minus 260, that line is gone on FanDuel, but it's still there on BetOnline, and I think 5 times is even better. I think 5 times is minus 250. For some reason throughout the week, it looks like monies came in on the fight goes to round 5 and fight goes to decision, which is interesting. Considering Charles Oliveira has never seen a 4th round, I don't believe. But yep, that is about it. I'll quickly go over my bets. Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, fight does not start round 5, minus 263 units. Amanda Nunes parlayed with Jillian Robertson, minus 214, 3 units on that. A little bit of a hedge here. Priscilla Cachoeira wins by KO, half a unit, plus 800. I had Perez Schnell, fight doesn't go to decision, plus 110, 1 unit. That is canceled. Randy Costa, Tony Kelly, under 2.5 rounds, minus 155, 2 units. Ryan Hall, Derek Mander, under 2.5 rounds, plus 101 unit. 5 units on fight won't start round 3. Silva Wright, minus 182. And then also a little hedge here. I don't even think I talked about this, but the little hedge here for that fight, if it does get into the 3rd round, I have a quarter unit on Bruno Silva to win in round 3, plus 1,000. Fight goes to decision in Dominic Cruz, Pedro Munoz, minus 168, 2 units. And then Pedro Munoz scorecards equals no action, minus 200, 3 units. That means if Munoz wins inside the distance, it cashes. If it goes to decision, it pushes. So that is about it. The spots I was really considering but did not pull the trigger is going to be Jeff Neal, plus 110, and then also Jeff Neal by KO. And then the other one I was pretty close on was going to be Eric Anders, straight Eric Anders by KO. Those are 2 that I have not pulled the trigger on as of now, and I may just pass, but follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. I'll be posting my bets, pretty close to, up till a card, probably tomorrow afternoon or Saturday afternoon sometime. So, yep, guys, that's about it. Looking forward to this card. Looking forward to hopefully some violence. Need Bruno Silva, Jordan Wright to finish. and it should be a fun time. So that's about it, guys. Good luck, and we'll talk to you very soon.